Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Allen, Vice President of Alliances at Argano, and I'm excited to welcome you to the Manufacturing Trends 2023 and beyond. In today's webinar, we will explore several macro trends impacting the manufacturing industry and demonstrate how Salesforce Manufacturing Cloud helps manufacturers transform their customer and partner relationships to keep pace. We will wrap up with an actionable step that you can take to kickstart your own transformational journey. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our speakers for today's webinar, Jennifer Stengo and Amrdeep Bhatia. As Argano's VP of Strategic Accounts, Jennifer specializes in developing industry-specific business transformation strategies and helping Argano and its clients boost sales to capture new revenue opportunities and expand into market segments. As VP of Customer Solutions at Argano for Salesforce, Amrdeep has nearly 20 years of experience leading and delivering large business transformation projects with Salesforce and other cloud applications. Please get us started, Jen, by telling the audience a little bit about Argano and before we get into the manufacturing trends.
A little bit about Argano. Argano was born from an early collaboration of world-class specialist firms. We offer a unique response to digital transformation. We're one company made up of over 1,900 employees, innovating the way our clients create value across industries and around the world. We serve over 1,400 clients, ranging from Fortune 100 to Global 2000. So Argano is the first and leading in designer of modern digital foundations, specifically focusing on integrating, automating, and optimizing our client operations. We really take a technology agnostic approach and provide support for all of the major publishers, as you can see. Where we really look at our services is we start by supporting you from the time that you're either looking for a new solution or you're trying to implement a new business process. We take it all the way around the wheel to where if you're actually having break fixing, need managed services, we can provide that level of support. Really, most people start their journey with us by leveraging our management consulting. They really try to take a look at what your business processes are, how to engage with those, how to enhance, how to create value from it. And that might be deploying new technology. It might be just changing the way that your technology is already deployed. That team is supported by world-class consulting. And they specialize, as you can see, and they deploy all of the major technologies like Microsoft, Oracle, Salesforce, and SAP, and the peripherals. We also focus on all aspects of your implementation, and that could be from like an integration services. Most companies have 4 to 7 disparate systems. So how do you bring those together? And we can leverage things like AWS or Azure, or other integration tools like MuleSoft to bring the data in. As you're taking on the deployment of a new solution or you're changing the business processes, we have an organizational change management group that helps you through that journey, because when you think about it, we're really moving people's cheese. So how do you keep them engaged? How do you take it to the next level? How do you even roll out training? So we go around the full spectrum of services. As a company, we know your digital foundations are really built upon your people and processes. Those live at the core of your value chain. I mean, that's really the value of your business, is the people and processes. But then we surround that and we really look at what are you doing from like an ERP, a CRM standpoint. How are you managing your HCM deployments? But that's just one aspect of digital foundations. As we kind of go around the wheel, there's also that UI UX component. How are you engaging, giving that best experience to your consumer or to your employee? How are you integrating those solutions together? How are you moving to the cloud? And then lastly, how are you reporting on it, which is that data and analytics? So digital foundations is built upon your people and processes, surrounded by your technology, and ultimately then your peripheral systems. We also have a team of industry experts that really focus on how to take you further, faster inside of your industry. You can see the industries we list, and there's people like me that we go out and we provide guidance kind of on what's happening in the market. We help you benchmark against your competitors and the leaders in that market to take you further and faster. We really focus not on the 80%, which is your standard processes, but the 20%, which really makes your industry specific by providing you that guidance of really what's happening from the digital transformation aspect, whether it's in manufacturing, high tech. So we're here today really to talk about manufacturing trends, and we're going to look at what's happening in 2023 and beyond. When we look at manufacturing, there's just some key pain points and challenges that have occurred over the last year. And so as COVID hit and the pandemic hit, there was really this thing about customer loyalty and how to capture more market share, right? So how do you improve that consumer experience? There was a big trend to move to direct-to-consumer. Manufacturers, distributors were kind of cutting out the middleman. They weren't going to the big box store. They were sending products out directly. And what we saw is that they really had to figure out how to service their customers, right? So were they deploying content management chatbot solutions? Supply chain optimization really came into effect during COVID. We saw production lines being shut down. We saw that we had to have limited people inside of the warehouse. So how can you optimize it? How can you make more products in a short period of time? How can you bring up lines quicker? I think the other thing that really happened is people, as you know, I think we all know we're in a recession and costs are going up. So how can you streamline that manufacturing to reduce your costs and ultimately increase the visibility into your business? What's selling, what's not? What kind of changes can you make? And then risk management, I mean, we saw shipping containers stuck for months. We saw really a shortage of appliances in the United States and actually throughout the world. And it wasn't that you couldn't get the appliance, you couldn't get the chips. Those were stuck in a shipping container somewhere. Couldn't get it in. So how do you overcome those disruptions? What are you doing? And that's really kind of tied to that supplier relationship management. We saw a lot of people that were really dependent on that offshore, and we're seeing more and more manufacturing come onshore, or they're looking for secondary and tertiary suppliers. And so it's not just about best price anymore. It's who can get the product to you the quickest. And then I think when we were talking earlier, it's really all these people have disparate systems. So how do you bring together that disparate systems and have real-time reporting? Because as your forecasts are changing, whether that is your supplier sending in products or your orders, how do you respond to that? And how do you bring things quicker, faster? So really what's happening in 2023 and beyond, of course, is we're seeing more and more of this concept of best-of-breed solutions. It's this thing that it depends on the publisher. They're calling them composable solutions or best of breed. Instead of just going and, just deploying one publisher at your company and saying, I'm just going to be a Microsoft, Oracle, SAP, or Salesforce shop, they're really looking for what is that best in class or best of breed solution. Ultimately, by taking a solution that's built specifically for that process or for that industry, it's decreasing your cost of ownership. And the reason it's decreasing your cost of ownership is you're no longer heavily customizing a solution in creating unreliable integrations to something that you've customized. You're using a product that's intended for its purpose, right? So whether it's a supply chain solution, an MES system, it's really that best of breed, best in class are getting deployed. And what also happens with that is, since you're not doing heavily customized solutions, it's so much easier for you to take those upgrades in a cloud solution. We're not worried about the customizations breaking. If you happen to be in a validated environment, since you are using out-of-the-box functionality, it's reducing that expensive validation and regulatory requirements that you go in through. I think the other thing that really happens is that you're able to make real-time changes to your organization. Since it's not customized and you're using a solution that's intended, as your business changes, we can change those organizational workflows very quickly inside of the software that enables you to bring products to market or improve your customer experience. The last thing that really is happening when we talk about cloud native solutions is cyber attacks are at an all-time high. We've seen a lot of organizations getting hit by this. And I think it's going to continue on in the years, unfortunately. But more companies are becoming actively engaged in how to prevent that and secure their data, because that is the biggest jeopardy if someone gets in there and attacks your most important asset, which is your data, your customer base, your inventory base data, your forecast, and you no longer can provide that responsiveness to the market. So being cyber resilient and having a cyber secure network is going to be one of the biggest trends we see in 2023. There's actually a meeting about this where all the major publishers got together and they really are trying to figure out how to make their networks more and more cyber secure to present those cyber attacks. Interoperability, it just keeps coming up. Like and we saw it in COVID. We really saw it during the pandemic that there's all this siloed data. And when you think about it just from a healthcare or life sciences, you couldn't get respirators to the right place. We had stockpiles, right? All of that data was siloed. And it also happened in manufacture. Maybe there was a plant that was in Pennsylvania and you needed the product in California and you couldn't figure out how to get it there because you didn't know it was there. Right. So everybody's really making those big investments in how to give universal access to that data so you get actionable, improved insights, which is also going to streamline your supply chain and make your consumer experience better. When we talk about interoperability, most companies and manufacturing companies specifically have a whole bunch of disparate systems. They have an MES, maybe a label printing system. You have your ERP, we can go on with it, right? You probably have a CAD solution. How do you bring all of those together to get your overall view of your plant systems? How do you do a workflow that's going to enable you to analyze your problems and increase efficiency? Because increased efficiency means decreased cost, higher revenue for you. I think interoperability, once we figure out how to get all the data together, is how are you going to build those intelligent business apps and have advanced analytics to better serve? Like, can you have an improved forecast? Can you show where the inventory is going to be? Can you give better shipping dates? Can you give better pricing and forecast and rebates, as an example? We have a sales team that I think most salespeople have always kind of worked remotely, but with COVID, the onset of this whole digital sales enablement, it's becoming more and more robust in the market. But once again, we have locked up siloed data. So how do you actually give them a unified view of orders, forecasts, pricing agreements, and it also has to be via self-serve options? The time of the citizen developers here. People are building all kinds of mobile apps and they want access. They want to be able to walk out to their customer, look at their phone and say, hey, this is your forecast. This is your pricing agreement. These are your rebates that are due. Can we increase your demand so that way I can get you better pricing, right? Enabling those sales team remotely to go better serve the consumers is what we need. They have to have that complete visibility into their book of business. That's down to a customer level as well. You look at something like Amazon and they're kind of like the market leader in analyzing and collecting customer data. How many times do we log in and they know exactly what we were looking at and they're prompting us to buy something? So how you as a company, how can you go in and collect and better leverage that data to serve your consumer or to take over more market share, right? It would enable you to bring probably products to market faster and enable you to change your supply lines quicker where we're going to see an update tick because it's a holiday or something's happening in the world. So, having that customer data, leveraging it and putting really good analytics behind it is definitely going to be a driver in the future. Supply chain resilience, pandemic really screwed us up. So how do you predict and overcome those disruptions? You have to be faster with it. That better invisibility, you have to improve your planning and your forecast. The better that you can forecast, you can have your planning, the better you can serve your consumer and maintain your market share, because that's all what it's about, is maintaining and growing your market share. I think interoperability, and we talked about this a little bit about having that overall view, but all that data across supply chains is going to drive your agility. It's going to allow you to respond to market changes quickly, which is going to enable you to change your production lines. When you think about it, being able to have a predictive, preventative schedule to change it, saying, hey, it's seasonality is about to hit us. We need 3 weeks of ramp time to change our production facilities to get the raw materials. And how do you leverage that data? And that really comes down to how do you do that faster time to market for new products or change your existing products? I think there's going to be a lot of investments in R&D. And a lot of that's being driven, when you think about it, by having machine learning and artificial intelligence against your data. So we can really predict what the market trends are going to be, so we can not have stockouts. We can have the right materials. We can drive the right raw materials in. Our consumers, our customers are getting more and more educated, and they want assurance from you. They want assurance that they're going to have self-service options. So are you going to have content management for them to go out and research your products? When we think about this from a life sciences perspective, People want more and more interaction with their healthcare. They want to know what drug interactions, how to install a med device, how to service a med device. That could even be in high tech. It could even be as you're shipping direct to consumer and someone's buying something from you and they want to know how to do a software update, right? How many of us actually want to get on the phone and talk to a representative when we have a warranty claim, we have an issue with a product, we need to get a software update? I don't know a lot of people anymore. We're kind of in that immediate, I want to pick up my cell phone and have a chat bot or have a text interaction. So how are you making investments into those chat bots? I mean, Jennifer Stango offered just bot widget X, Y, and Z. Can you prompt her via chatbot and push her through the right prompts to where she can do her own self-service option? She can get the training for whatever it is. She can figure out how to enhance it. Citizen developers, when you think about it, anytime we're buying something that's technology, a lot of us are building apps on top of it, collecting our own data. What are you doing to support them? And is it that self-service? Is there a chatbot out there to help them? I think remote field service, and that could be across all things, like when I buy something, how do you do the warranty registration? How are you teaching me to fix it? But then secondarily, how are you doing predictive maintenance? When we think about predictive maintenance, it could be sensor data. It could be something like, I wear a smartwatch. It could be that my smartwatch knows it hasn't been updated and it's pinging me and letting me know. But it can also be down to detect failures in machinery and components. We could have something that's not spinning properly, a ball bearing issue. And so what are you doing and how are you telling your consumer that that machine or that part is likely to fail? And how are they going to fix it to keep themselves up running faster? I think we're going to see a lot of AR and virtual reality in it. We definitely saw that more and more in COVID, where people that were shipping larger devices were sending out a HoloLens or some type of device. It allowed them to do training. So when you think about like high tech, med device, how do you train them on the new applications, get them certified? You can't do a lot of classroom training anymore, but you definitely can do augmented reality, virtual reality for that training. And then from predictive maintenance, can you teach them to fix it remotely? Can they be wearing that HoloLens or some type of interactive device and watch you fix it in a classroom type environment and fix it themselves? Especially when we get into like, aerospace, high tech, healthcare, where you don't have access to a lot of those devices. So I think that's going to be a big trend in your consumer insurance. And then factory of the future, I mean, there's industry 4.0, they say industry 5.0, manufacturing smart factory 5.0 is coming. I think IoT, getting all of those sensors for factory machines, can understand how the machines are performing, enhance your product designs where we're seeing those failures from either the field service or the predictive maintenance, getting all of that information in, being able to embed intelligence in it to where it can tell you that it's about to have a failure point so we can get ahead of it and send things out to all of our consumers, letting them know that, hey, this has failed at 5 other places, please fix it, yours is how you do it. Agile factories and smart manufacturing processes with predictive technologies, IoT and mixed reality. And then there's a lot of talks about like robots coming in and how do you do dark factories. I think we're going to see more investments in the concept of dark factories, which are less human interaction and more automation inside the factory. How to bring the people in when you need it. That's actually going to improve production efficiency and reduce downtime. The whole idea is to try to get as much efficiency, keep our production lines up and running. So can you have shifts to where if it's just a machine churning and burning, that you have just one person there versus having a team, and then you bring your team in when it's ready for the human interaction. 70% of manufacturers actually introduced digital twins this last year. When digital twins first came out, and I talked a lot about digital twins over the last 2 years, it was very much how to integrate them into CAD solutions and how to have a replication of your design and your product to fix it or enhance it. But I think what we're seeing more and more from digital twins is the concept of how to visualize and simulate an entire supply chain. That can be from the time that someone places an order to the time that it ships. It can be how your manufacturing facility is running. It's going to give you an idea of where your throughput issues are, right? Where your bottlenecks are. And you can go back and put that new simulation, that new business process through a digital twin and see if it actually enhances your efficiency, if it's going to make your downtime, reduce it as much as possible, if it's going to make your employees much more efficient. Like I said, 70% of people actually have adopted this. I think we're going to see a bigger trend. And I think the adoption is going to grow into other places because they're using it for very narrow aspects of digital the concept of a digital twin, I think that's going to expand because digital twins is the ability to take your business processes, run a bunch of simulations against it, and get it faster, further in a shorter period of time kind of scenario without having to have the manpower. We used to run Kaizen events, right, where we try to go out and diagnose what an issue is. A digital twin can do that with artificial intelligence and machine learning against it faster than we could ever do a Kaizen event. I think lastly, what we're really seeing, and this is true in every industry, not just manufacturers, is that whole, how do you protect your people? The great resignation, silent resignations going on. There's a shortage of talent in the market. That's from IT to even people working on your production floor. People want to know that you're ensuring their workplace safety. We definitely saw that with social distancing during the pandemic. They still want to know that you are putting tools out there where you have the contact management in case they are exposed, or you're offering them some type of medical assistance during it. So how are you ensuring workplace safety? I think that we're going to continue to see investments in that. But there was also a poll done where I think it was close to 90% of workers came back and said that they prefer hybrid or remote work. Most people do not want to go into an office. So how are you giving them the tools to make sure that they can collaborate, that they have the information that they need to do their jobs? How are you connecting your teams together as they're remote? And then lastly, going back to how you're making sure it's cyber secure and cyber resilient, that you're protecting your business, you're protecting your data, you're actually protecting that employee from a cyber attack. I think we're also seeing a big reskilling. People have adjacent skills, so how do you move them into those other skills for your shortages? So how are you onboarding employees? How are you continuing to build their skills? How are you making investments into analyzing that maybe someone's 3 certifications away from being able to operate that equipment, giving them the time to do it so that you're not out hiring another employee, you're reskilling your existing talent, which is going to enable you to fill those jobs faster. We've done just a lot of research on this, and just to kind of tell you where manufacturing trends sort of by the number, I did throw out some statistics, but the pandemic, COVID-19, 91% of manufacturers said they benefited from getting new digital tools, whether that was content management solutions, chatbots, the introduction of machine learning AI against their data. 92% of manufacturers said that they have to improve operational efficiency, right? It's an important business initiative for them. So how are you doing that process innovation and automation? How are you making investments towards it? These are like key things that you really as a company need to think about. Interoperability, that single source of truth, 82% of executives are coming back and saying that they don't have transparency into their data. It's impeding their ability to forecast and ultimately serve their consumer and maintain and grow their market share. And then lastly, 78% of manufacturers are moving more towards a service-led business model. We've seen a big move to direct-to-consumer from our suppliers and manufacturers. They are doing those warranty registrations. They're doing that rebate management. It's becoming more and more important to them to have that consumer loyalty to their brand, to their company. So they've definitely moved to that customer first scenario. And I think they're going to continue to invest heavily in how to secure that market. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Amardeep.
Thank you, Jen. That was an awesome walkthrough of digital trends in manufacturing. With that, now we'll transition to talking about how Salesforce has pioneered, how they have been thought leader through this digital transformation that manufacturing industry has seen over the years. We'll first talk about very high level B2B manufacturing process and the pain points associated with those processes. Again, this is very high level, so we'll touch upon what are the complexities that each department here is seeing, and how do we then solve for it going forward. As you see on the diagram that's shown on slide, a lot of these pain points stem from lack of visibility into data. And Jen touched upon these points earlier, where there's disparate systems, difficult to connect them together. So it is very difficult to get a single view of data points or a collective view. And that drives lack of visibility. Also, not being able to capture the data into the system itself because they are on Excel sheets or outside or in somebody's computer somewhere. So let's talk about sales personas. B2B manufacturing process. When they're talking to their channel partners, distributors, how are they negotiating pricing? How are they negotiating contracts? What kind of data points do they need to be efficiently closing deals and also making them long-term customers, where they can now have a visibility into a run rate business and they can provide their operations with these long-term contracts that operations and the rest of the supply chain can build for, deliver for efficiently. And also when they talk to their customers again, how are they getting a view of contracts, agreements in place, and how they are performing so far, so that they can have a more meaningful conversation with their customers. Similar with operations, where is operations getting a view of what's in my backlog, what's in the pipeline, what do I need to manufacture to be able to keep up with the demand, and how do I go purchase, when do I go purchase, once the timing is right, how do I keep the costs low with an advanced purchase notifications that I get. So similar with supply chain, how much inventory do I really need to manage? And I need a good view of my inventory across these disparate systems and disparate manufacturing locations. Where is a part? Where is this product right now? Do I even have it? And when sales is talking to the customer, it's very helpful for them to have a view into inventory, because then they can promise right to the customer. They can promise delivery dates. They can also get into better negotiation from there on based on how long will it take to deliver. Finance needs to have confidence in the data, in the financials, of course. What's my outlook? What are we forecasting the revenue to be? Which customers am I getting most revenue from? Who are my efficient customers? How do I give them more discounts? How do I turn some customers more into loyal customers going forward? So how's my book of business looking overall for this year through the closing? Okay, so all of this could happen only if there was a good forecast, an accurate forecast available across these departments, and finance included. Pricing departments need to know what's the efficient pricing for my product, how am I comparing to the market, and how am I selling these products to my customers, where else are they buying from, also what are their interests, what's the volume that they are purchasing with us. So all those factors combined with the visibility of data, and then what kind of discounts I can offer or what kind of pricing models can I offer back to this customer, is all derived based on availability of data and visibility into it. Similar with channel partners now, how do I make them engage with my business more? Not just sell them and go away, but how do I make it a more engaging experience where they have self-service options, where they, instead of calling somebody, they can log in and see how my agreement is performing so far. When's my next order due? Where's my delivery? How's the shipment? Where's my order? So basically all self-service options. And that's very important in this digital future to kind of keep your customers engaged and turn them into long-term loyal customers. Now let's talk about how Salesforce through Manufacturing Cloud is addressing some of these pain points that I showed, and then Jen also covered in her slides. With Manufacturing Cloud, there is a feature called Sales Agreements, wherein sales can now have meaningful conversation and turn those contracts into long-term agreements, where the agreement will define what's the ordering frequency, what's the quantity over time, what's the pricing, and then customer have a visibility in those agreement along with our sales team. Now they all have a good view, and they at any point in time, they know how they are performing against these agreements. When is the time to go back and nudge the customer that, hey, your order is due and you have not placed that order, to keep up with the pricing models that we have proposed to you. Account-based forecasting, how much of quantity and revenue I'm going to make of this customer account into the future, and how's the performance so far. Then community of collaboration, I touched upon it as customer engagement. How are you collaborating with customer more and more, not just customer, even internally with other departments, so that everybody has single view of data point and everybody has same visibility, so that and they are working off the same platform for collaboration through the manufacturing cycle or process, and also bringing customer as part of and showing them data that's meant for their visibility. AI-powered intelligence. Okay, going back to some of the factors that Jen had mentioned in her slide, AI is integral part of all industries, all processes, today and in future. So with this, how does AI intelligence recommend what other products? What are the buying patterns? What should I do next with this customer? Are we going to hit into any revenue realization gaps? How are we doing with the performance overall? What are the recommended next steps? So Manufacturing Cloud has the AI layer that helps sales and other teams to keep up with customer demands and proposals going forward. Synchronize front office and back office to drive predictable performance. Your back office has the order data, fulfillment, finance data. How do I surface it back to Salesforce through, of course, through integrations, and populate the required data in Salesforce so that the sales and other teams who operate there have a good view of overall customer 360. Also, an add-on feature to it is rebates. As we understand now, once you have good visibility of data and the performance overall, now you have more leverage into what kind of discounts and rebate programs can you roll out to customers based on their tiers, based on their performance so far, and based on the outlook with those customers. And so it starts with all building these sales agreements that I talked about and tracking to those, engaging the customer through community, where they, not just our sales team, but customers also have a visibility always of the agreements and performance, and they are tracking to it closely. They are putting in orders, claims, and then what that does is, because all this data is being managed and tracked at one central place, it automatically reduces the revenue leakage gaps that used to happen because of manual calculation errors, because of data in disparate systems that need to be brought in, imported or exported. So it reduces the revenue leakage gaps through the integrated processes. What you also do is expose rebates and preferred method of discount on the same platform to the customers, because as they are now engaging, they have a view into what discounts have they been offered to, what do they have that they can leverage going forward if they want to scale up selling and buying process. Early payout forecast, how am I performing overall to agreements and the discounts that I'm entitled to? What's my payout looking like on the rebate side? With all this data, their visibility back to the customer partners, they have a they have a high level of confidence now to do business with you. So what that turns into, that turns into happy customers and loyal customers that want to be with you for long term. Now, how is Salesforce 360 platform automating this whole customer journey, right from the lead generation, marketing campaigns? They have Marketing Cloud that lets you do this campaigning, lead generation, nurturing all upfront, define customer journeys on various digital engagement platforms, including messages, social, emails, of that, all digital engagement platforms of future. As they come surfacing, Salesforce is integrating those, bringing those into their platform, transitioning from there into a connected sales process. Now, all this because all this is on the same Salesforce platform, it's all being tracked, it's interlinked. Now, when the sales process kicks in, you know what campaign really, what's the history of this lead, where did it come from, what are the interactions so far. That makes your sales reps more efficient. Also, as part of the connected sales process, now because you have data at the same place, you have visibility into products, you have the configuration models, bundles, and the pricing at one place. It's easier to use CPQ functions to be able to create quotes that are efficient plus customer connects with it because it's the configuration that customer needs and priced accordingly. So that's done with Revenue Cloud and CPQ functions. From there on, once you have reached an agreement, you create a sales agreement that has all the terms and conditions of purchasing, volumes, quantity, pricing, and at the same time discounts and rebates that customer has signed up for. We have offered to them. What that drives is, all this being part of Manufacturing Cloud, what that drives is long-term planning, forecasting, and better engagement with customers going forward. Extending it further, Salesforce has digital commerce and order management capabilities. So specifically for these sales or pricing agreements, now once customer is logging in and they have visibility to data, you might as well give them an easy way to place orders rather than sending on Excel sheets or calling somebody just to place an order. So they have their agreements in front of them. They have products. They can quickly add those to the cart and they can place order through the online digital commerce, which is integrated. The order data is now already in Salesforce. It's all interlinked. And then how customer engages is through a layer called Experience. Its product is Experience Cloud from Salesforce that lets customers and partners engage and gives them visibility to data that is for them. Towards the end, last but not least, Service Cloud, which drives the self-service options, working along with Experience Cloud from Salesforce. It has capabilities of cases, again, digital service, self-service through various channels, and then all of this is interconnected on the same customer 360. So those who have visibility into it, it gives the complete view of customers' data plus activities that's been going on so far, so that it makes everybody's job more efficient. Here at Argano, we specialized in these Salesforce services and solutions. We run deep sales and sales ops transformations for our customers who have been on legacy and are cannot grow or scale further because of their legacy system limitations. So we have transformed several of those enterprises into Salesforce CRM. We come in and we provide advisory services. We start there. We do workshops with them, build a roadmap of their transformation, well-phased roadmap with governance and change management plugged in, of which personas is it going to impact, who is going to come into new Salesforce platform and when, and how do we make sure we train and manage the change accordingly. So all the services included in that transformation. Extending it further with service, how do you now service your customer on various channels of digital engagement at the channel of their choice, not just on a phone call, right? So all that is served through Service Cloud, and further from there on, how do you make your field service operations more efficient and optimum? How do you plan an efficient route for your technician through the day? How do you tell a customer their delivery times, also their service times? Going to third thing, Revenue Cloud, touched upon a little bit. How do you make the configuration and pricing very efficient? How do you bundle your products? How do you cross-sell, upsell? How do you bring in the guided selling process? And then from there on, for subscription kind of business model, what kind of subscription models you are offering? And after that, how are you billing your customers who have subscribed to your services? So again, how are you reducing revenue gaps there so that billing is all integrated? This is all done through Revenue Cloud services. And then last but not least, again, B2B commerce, I touched upon it. How do you make your B2B customers buy when they log in? Buy directly from the system that they're interacting with, rather than calling or going to another portal or a website to complete their transaction. With that, there is a layer of customer experience that sits like horizontal to all of these offerings. That's how customers engage with data across these four verticals business functions. We here specialize in industry solutions and manufacturing being one of those. At the bottom, we see advisory services that I talked about. Then we specialize in integrations, including MuleSoft, Informatica, Azure, AWS, you name it, we have it. Remediation, where customer has attempted to do something as part of their transformation journey. Now they have hit roadblocks, and we run into that a lot. We come in and we provide our advisory services there to bring them out and take them live successfully. Again, kind of rebuild their roadmap. Also, not always starting from scratch, but how do we make sure we take corrective actions to take our customers to where they want it to be. Managed services being one of our key offerings as well. Once we have completed implementation, or whether we have done that implementation or not, we can come and still take it. How do we keep our customers, their adoption rates high, their systems usability high, their licensing optimization high? So that's all through managed services and support that we offer, and then strategic roadmaps, the workshops that we do with our customers on the business side. Jen, with that, I'll pass it back to you.
Thanks, Amardeep. Very informative. So a little bit about how to start your digital transformation journey with Argano. We really look, and most of our customers are coming to talk to us about these 6 things, or a combination of these 6 things. I think we've kind of hit that, Amardeep hit this, is how do you create those new revenue streams? How do you get new value streams? And then, manufacturing, it's really how do you do that cost optimization? Integration just keeps coming up, right? Like, how do you integrate those disparate business solutions, get the data that you need so you can get your consolidated real-time reporting? How do you move those disparate systems into a cloud-based virtualized infrastructure? Very few people are really on-premise anymore. But when we think about, those 4 to 7 systems that you have, how are you moving them into a cloud-based virtualized infrastructure? How are you integrate those together to get the best real-time reporting? And then you can't hit it home enough. How are you making sure that you're cyber resilient and that you have that networking and that security down to prevent those cyber attacks to get from the real value of your business, your important asset, your data? And then, that best of breed enterprise architecture, how are you looking at all of those systems that you're going to take and build them together, move them into the cloud, report off of them? Ultimately, it comes down to really what I look at as these 4 things. You're really trying to increase your revenue growth. You can do that by maintaining your market share or increasing your market share. But revenue growth and then decreasing your costs or doing optimization, increasing your productivity, those are very much tangible goals. It's easy to get KPIs out of it, get your analysis. Revenue growth, market share, that's really going to accelerate your growth. It's going to grow your business, cost productivity, and then ultimately risk mitigation. How are you securing your data? How are you making sure that your employees aren't leaving? How are you making sure that you have the right products, that you have those secondary and tertiary suppliers? How are you reducing that risk? That market share and risk mitigation are a little bit more intangible, but you still can measure against them. How are you looking at the KPIs? What are really the outcomes you're trying to get from them? So what we really look at it is that you have priorities, you have timeline, and you have costs. Those are really your constraints inside of your business. And we come in and we really look at your digital transformation as, what is your current state? What's working well? What can we build upon? What can we leverage to take you further? What concerns, what's holding you back from achieving your goals and then your targets in your digital transformation journey? And what changes do you need to make? Is that people? Is that systems? Is it prioritization of your outcomes and your objectives? And really, what are your objectives? What are you trying to do with your technology? Where's your business going? Where's ultimately the goals? And then what outcomes are you going to get from it? what's going to be achieved if you meet them, and then secondarily, if you don't meet your objectives, what's the cost of inaction? Because there's a cost of not doing anything. It could be that you're going to lose that market share. It could be that you're going to lose revenue. It could be that your cost is going to get higher. So we really look at it as kind of like this pyramid building up of kind of looking at your current state to where you're trying to be from your future state. I think in every business, your current state is you have the budget, you have the resources, and you have the existing technology, right? You can get yourself to your own baseline. I think any company can get to the baseline without budget, resources, existing technology. Everybody's really trying to move into an optimized state. An optimized state is that technology agnostic, taking the best solution, deploying it kind of in that out of the box, taking you to an optimized. It's going to take you further in the journey. But ultimately, Argano and what we were built for and what our digital foundations is really to focus on how you integrate, automate, and optimize your operations. And how we do that is we take it from a management consulting perspective as well. So we know what's happening in the market. We know what's happening with your competitors. We have all of that benchmarking information. So we benchmark you against it. We focus on the 20% that's going to move the needle, that's going to take you further in your journey. We do know digital foundations is not a single line like this. You have a whole bunch of processes going on. So it's kind of representing how we're pushing you further out into your future. And we also know that that goal is constantly changing. So we're really looking for where you're going to be at in the next 3 to 5 years and pushing you further in your journey. Our idea is really to modernize, transform, and accelerate where you're going. We really rethink how you look at your business, and how we do that is at the heart of your business is your people and your processes and ultimately your data, right? Like without those things, you as a company probably wouldn't exist. Technology is wrapped around it. That's the ERP, it could be Salesforce, it could be CRM. The technology supports them. That's where you're housing your data. But then there's this additional layer that's digital foundations, and it's how you're interacting. It could be the mobile application. It could be the content that Radeep was talking about. It could be the APIs and integrations, how you're bringing the data in. So we look at it holistically. So we're trying to drive you further, faster, right? We're trying to drive that automation and insights by looking at your systems holistically, not just focusing on your technology layers, focusing on all of the things that are coming into your technology layers to support your people and process to take you further, faster. And so how do we do that? Well, we really focus on prioritized transformational planning. And so why would you want to do it? So we come out and we do strategic assessments. It's looking at what digital trends are impacting your market, what existing technology you have, what new technology is coming out. We look at your personnel and your people, and we try to align that with your future growth plans. Like we're trying to create a succinct plan for you. That's that business consulting we were talking about in the beginning. And so where do we do it? We can do these virtually, in person. It's entirely up to you. When do we do it? We typically start with a high-level strategy session. And that's when we meet with people like your senior leadership who understand the strategic vision of your business. Where are you going? And then we go into deep dive breakouts. We're going to meet with those mid-level management that is focused on probably their processes, their division. They have their own KPIs and objectives. We want to get those out, make sure it ties back to ultimately your high-level strategic plan. We also meet with business process owners and the IT organizations. And so those are more of the deep dive sessions, like what are you doing, how are you doing it, what data are you capturing, what influence do you have? And so what are we doing? We're actually going to create a digital transformation plan with your goals in it. And we really kind of come out and what we do is we create a strategic assessment. It's going to evaluate where you go, where you're going, where are you now, what plan do you need to get you further. And so we really focus on that whole digital transformation. It's very much prioritized. We do a lot of planning with you. And ultimately, our goal is to take you further, faster, push you out to be that market leader by leveraging a lot of our subject matter experts or technology agnostic resources that understand it. And then we have the people that like our world-class consultants that actually know how to deploy the technology. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Andrea.
Awesome. That's so much great information. Thanks, Jen. We do have a few questions in the chat. And this one goes to you, Jen. In a typical client engagement, what are the potential next steps after the digital transformation assessment?
Yeah, that's a great question. So normally when we're done with the planning and we give you that, hey, this is our assessment, this is what we should do, is we help you prioritize that. And we look at probably what I'm going to refer to as your low-hanging fruit. What can we fix in a short period of time that's going to give you high value? We also start looking at your longer term. We try to figure out what the right technologies for it. We're going to figure out what estimates so that way you can look at your total cost of ownership. And we help you start building out that business case to give you that return on investment. So hopefully that answered the question, Andrea.
Yeah, that's perfect. Amardeep, in your opinion, what is the most valuable business benefit that Salesforce Manufacturing Cloud provides?
Great question. Salesforce Manufacturing Cloud is a purpose-built CRM for manufacturers. By providing a unified view of customer sales and operations data across disparate departments and systems, what it enables is optimized sales forecasting and demand planning. What it also does is it provides a great level of partner customer engagement and streamlines business processes via collaboration. Also, you can extend this and further magnify the impact by including other Salesforce solutions like Service Cloud, Experience Cloud, Commerce, and CPQ, to name a few.
Very good. Thank you. In your opinion, what is the most common challenge or business priority that we're seeing at Argano?
Yeah, across most of our manufacturing customers, I think it's the interoperability. It's all of that siloed data. It's all these disparate systems are giving back different data. It's hard to consolidate it. It's hard to base kind of like what your KPIs or how to forecast or how to plan, where you're not sure what the single source of truth is. So I think the most common thing that I hear about in the priorities in businesses is how do I bring that data together? How do I do interoperability? How do I do real-time consolidated reporting? How do I make sure that my data is accurate? And I think that's also like what we're seeing in trends in the market. Everybody is really talking about interoperability, how to bring it together, a single source of truth, because it ultimately impacts your production lines, your customers, your customer loyalty. Without having that data, it's very hard driving a business.